If you are a real estate investor or a wholesaler struggling to get your first deal done, it's because of a parasite that you have right in here. A parasite that is preventing you from making the right decisions, from looking at the opportunity that you have in the correct way, so that now you could have that success that you've always wanted. And this parasite here that you've been infected with is a result of a lot of these other gurus and what they're telling you to do and not to do. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and how you can get rid of it so you can finally have the success that you've been wanting. And I speak from experience because I was also infected with this parasite. So when I started out as a real estate investor, I was doing the same thing that you guys are doing, which is doing everything I could in order to find a deal. And a lot of the things that I was doing were a lot of these things that required a lot of grunt work, driving for dollars, and doing a lot of manual labor things in order to find a deal. Why was I doing that? It was because I was scared. I was scared of losing money. I didn't have that much money. So every penny that I had, I wanted to conserve. I wanted to protect. And eventually, after all of my research, I figured out that at that time, which I don't do anymore, direct mail, I felt was the key to getting the traction that I wanted in my real estate business and to having success. But I had a problem. I had a problem because direct mail required money, and it required me to invest money, to risk money in order to use that system, that methodology in order to find a deal. But I was afraid of doing that. And in the end, I just continued to use and to try and implement all those other strategies, those really free strategies and all the strategies that required a lot of my labor and time. And eventually, little by little, it took me 6 months, I figured out a system with postcards that was getting results, that was getting me leads. But then I had a problem. It was a trickle. I was like, well, this thing is working, but it's working at such a snail's pace. And why was that? It was working at a snail's pace because I didn't want to put any money into direct mail. I was afraid. And then one day I got a Discover card. I don't know why they sent me a Discover card because I was broke. I didn't have any money. My credit was shot. But somehow or other, Discover sent me a credit card. And then I made a decision that day that changed the trajectory of my life. And I said, I'm going to bet it all. It's like going to the casino and betting it all on black. And I said, I'm going to take this entire credit card, and I believe at that time was $8,000, and I'm going to spend the entire amount on direct mail. Now, I've got a system. So it wasn't as if I was just throwing money out there without any sort of idea of what I was doing. There was something that was working, but I needed to do more of it. And so I said, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to put it all on direct mail. And I remember saying to myself that if this doesn't work, then I'm out. I got to figure something else out because I gave it my shot. Luckily, and the reason why I'm here with you today is because it worked. And there was a lot of risk involved. There was fear of spending all that money and losing it. Fear of being in a worse position than I am today. But I made sacrifices, and I cut spending in a lot of other areas, and I went for it. And that was the thing that made the difference for me. Now, the problem that you're having right now is that you're infected with this parasite of getting deals without spending any money. And you're toiling around, driving for dollars, calling agents, doing all this grunt work because you're afraid. You're afraid of losing money. You're afraid. You say to yourself, first of all, that you don't have the money. The likelihood is that you do have the money, you're just not allocating that money properly. But you are afraid, and you're not willing to take and make an investment in marketing. Because all these three methods, they all have a problem. The problem with all these three methods is that, for the most part, they're all short-lived. And they're short-lived because they're not scalable. If you're doing driving for dollars, and yes, you become the best driving for dollars person in the whole wild world, At some point, you got to let that go. Why? Because it's not scalable. Yeah, it might get you a deal after 6 months, after 8 months, but at some point, you have to let that go because you have to move on to another strategy that is going to allow you the volume of leads in order for you to grow your real estate business. And now you're stuck because now all the work you put into that driving for dollar strategy, or all that work you put into that outreach strategy that requires no money but requires a little bit of elbow grease at the end, all that has gone to waste because now you got to start brand new with something brand new that you've never done before. As opposed to when I started, I did direct mail, I made it work, and I doubled down, I tripled down, I got better and better and better to the point where now that was the only strategy I used, and that allowed me to scale to the moon and have amazing success. And that is what the problem is. You're infected with that parasite of all these other people that are giving you all these strategies that require no money. And you like that because it's a safe spot for you. And the problem is that you're looking at this relationship with investing in marketing in your real estate business in the wrong way, because you're looking at it as that potentially you might lose money. The fact is that there's no money lost because you have to frame it differently. Because if you spend $500 in some sort of marketing and it goes to waste and you get no return out of it, there is a lesson learned there because now you have data. Now you have figured out what doesn't work. And now you can reboot, make adjustments, and go at it again. And that's what I've always done. I did that with direct mail. I did that initially when I started with Facebook ads for motivated sellers and PPC and doing online marketing. And I spent a bunch of money, didn't get anywhere. And finally, I made it work. The other thing that you have to accept is that you're not going to get to where you want to go without incurring some bumps and bruises on the way there. And those bumps and bruises are going to be in a combination of being ridiculed by your family members or your friends because they think that what you're doing is stupid, ridiculed because you're speaking with property owners and you're getting a ton of rejection with everybody you're speaking with and you don't know what you're doing. But you also need to be okay with incurring some losses and knowing that that is part of the game. Part of the game is putting your chips on the table, making an investment. And I'm not talking about making an investment in mentoring or any of that stuff. And I invested in a bunch of that stuff. And you have to be mindful of, hey, that, yeah, you do need training and mentoring, but at some point you got to start making some investments in marketing, and that's really what's going to move the needle in your business. And if you're afraid to do that, you're just going to have a tough time at success. And the problem is that a lot of people out there right now are preaching to the choir about all these free methods, and you have to think about why they're doing that. They're doing that because they're catering to your desire of wanting those free methods, number one. Now, you think that they're all altruistic in nature because they're helping you out, but because they're not charging you for a course or anything like that, but they're making money regardless. Because when they direct you to that service that you're gonna download the list from, and that service that is gonna skip trace your list and everything else that they're giving you suggestions to go after, those are all affiliates. And they're gonna make money from that. So don't look at it as, oh, they're giving me the right path because they're helping me out and helping me find a way to do a deal without spending any money. They're just catering to your desire and to your comfort spot of you being afraid of putting money on the table. In addition to that, many of them don't know how to effectively do marketing. Many of them have abandoned direct mail, and for the majority of them, like for example, I teach how to find motivated sellers using Facebook and Google pay-per-click. The majority of the people out there are not going to be able to teach you how to do that. So they're going to tell you not to do it. Now, I'm not making this as a self-serving comment and say, oh no, you got to come to me. I just tell you that you always have to look at what is going on behind the scenes. Bottom line is that I succeeded by going to the casino table, and we call it the casino table being the entrepreneur space, and this being real estate, which is what we're talking about here. And I put my chips on the table. I took my bet and I put it on block. I did everything I could to make sure that I was making the right decisions. But at the end, I was not afraid to lose it all. Because if I did lose it all, then I would just regroup and restart. And so if you're afraid of doing that, then you have to really look at yourself and think about that decision, because that decision is the one that could be the thing that's preventing you, and the reason why you've been struggling all this time, because you keep on bumping up your head against the wall doing something that has a very small chance of working and a long, long road path to success if it does work.